Well, we are recording now.
Yeah, well, we can edit out the beginning part.
I know. Or leave it in for behind the scenes. Woo! You comfy? As comfortable as you can be?
I have a rug on my face. I can do it for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this won't take too long. So, today we want to chat about self-care and how this can be a radical form of activism. So, how did self-care start?
So I'll try and get through this relatively quickly. So, very short background. Religious rhetoric would essentially make idle time as like morally suspect for people that weren't wealthy or aristocratic. And so that kind of belief got into our medical system.
Mm-hmm.
There's a really good Medium article about it that's by Aaron Roberts, who talks about part of this. And it's essentially exploited groups were working and they were told that wanting free time was morally suspect. Only the wealthy. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know it's wrong.
You don't like us talking about the bourgeoisie?
I know. I will go through it super fast, Kiki. The wealthy were also seen as being more disciplined.
Right.
To keep exploiting the working class, it became more medicalized.
Mm-hmm.
In the medical systems, they would prescribe take care of yourself as self-care.
Right.
That's not really possible for the exploited and marginalized people.
Right.
And because that became like part of how the medical system worked, that's what was prescribed. There was a big pushback by that, by like the Black Panthers especially, and other activist groups around that time. So they took the term and changed it.
Hmm.
There's some really quick quotes that actually sum up what their view was.
Yeah, I'll read them out. A claiming of autonomy over the body as a political act against institutional, technocratic, very racist, and sexist medicine. And Audre Lorde's teachings highlight how self-preservation is foundational for community building. Our views tend to align with the Black Panther in regards to self-care, and we like that they took the term and reused it and repurposed it to be something radical. How has the view of self-care changed today from that period?
The big way is capitalism. Essentially, capitalism has co-opted the term, and they've made it really more based on aesthetics and short-term relief versus what the Black Panthers had.
Gotcha. Yeah. And it also focuses on the physical and like getting you to feel better. Yes, pet the soft kitty to feel better. But it largely ignores the mental health and the emotional health. Like, even if it is, oh, take a mental health break, a lot of it really is tied to the physical side of like, oh, go for a spa day, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, and that makes it more of also like an individual thing that you do.
Right.
It
So if you,
doesn't bring in the community sides of it, of like how you can use self-care, but also like with others. It's not just you yourself all by yourself.
right.
It's other ways that the community can help you and you can help the community.
Right, right. And the responsibility is put on you, or the blame is put on you, on the individual, if you don't perform self-care, right? So I guess it's a moral failing on you if you're struggling mentally and you're not able to afford or do the self-care that people are prescribing in their heads, you know? For example, if I go to work and I'm struggling and people are suggesting like, oh, hey, go to a spa day. What if I can't afford that?
Yeah.
What if I can't afford to take time off?
What if you'll lose your job
Right. But then it becomes a failing on me
for not taking
for not
care of yourself?
for not taking care of myself, and people feel it's very easy for them to give the suggestion, right?
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
gets it off of
Yeah, it's not on me to take care of you
exactly,
or help you.
exactly.
Especially with it, being more individualistic. How have we noticed like today's view of self-care, what we just talked about, impacting us socially in more ways like you're just talking about?
What I've seen, well, what we've seen a lot is the quote, good vibes only has become a cultural phenomenon. And it's probably existed before, right? There's a bit of overlap between like, what is it, the ugly laws or something like that, where you can't be outside in public and disabled kind of a thing. But now it goes a step further where you can't bring down the mood, right? Or you're seen at fault for bringing down the mood of the group. in a lot of situations like this where we tend to see this in like online spaces a bit more explicitly.
Yeah.
Like it'll be written down as part of the rules of the spaces in the online spaces, or it'll be in some unwritten part in like community social spaces a lot of times too.
Yeah, or essentially where people kind of will front load it and be like, I'm just here to have a good time tonight.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like that's what I'm here for.
And so when they do that, what happens socially is it emotionally stunts people because you're not allowed to.
Feel anything else?
Right, right. For that group, it just becomes you're not allowing yourself and you're not allowing others to feel or be exposed. And for people coming in and joining your group, well, it means like when I see good vibes only, I feel like I can't express myself. You know, I have to watch myself. I have to censor myself. I can't be myself in front of these people. So that can fall into toxic positivity territory.
More so where it's like that's all you're allowed to be. That's where it becomes the toxic side of like you can't
Right.
have any more expressions than that, even like more on the neutral side.
I mean, you know me and you know us. You know, we like to share joy and we like to let people know that it's okay to feel joy when it's kind of hard. But at the same time, if you feel like that's the only emotion allowed, that's also not good.
Yeah, and it like in that same vein, put it also like on the other person of if you are having a bad time or a bad day, of you need to be more resilient.
Right.
Like, oh, you know, just if you were a little more resilient, you wouldn't be feeling as bad and you could, you know, be able to have those good vibes. And so you kind of will start like blaming yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe, you know, if I was more resilient, things wouldn't be making me feel as bad.
Yeah.
And
a-
that's sort of like going down that pitfall.
I feel like a lot of this can also become internalized
Uh-huh.
and you start denying yourself accommodations that way too.
Like, I don't want to bring down the mood by like making my disabilities more apparent or accommodating them, such as like wearing earplugs or ear defenders, because then people think you're like, oh, you're being
Oh, yeah.
antisocial.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Or even like sunglasses, because, you know,
Yeah.
we talked about light
Uh-huh.
sensitivities before. You know, if you have to wear sunglasses indoors, it's a
Oh,
big stigma, you know.
oh, yeah. That messed with me when I had to wear it a lot in high school when I had a lot of my first stuff happening. And it was just like, no, if I take these off, it's like instant migraine.
Right, right.
So,
Yeah, so you have like a lot of social pressure to see positives and silver linings. I feel that it can be good to see positives and silver linings. You know, there are positives to that. But when you feel pressured to see positives and silver linings to everything, that's where we get into where this can become a problem, right?
uh-huh.
And, you know, if you are privileged enough, you will eventually have positives and silver linings come to you, and you can see that, right?
Uh-huh.
But unfortunately, if you are a marginalized person, the chance of positives happening, like example, right, is you go to an interview and
Uh-huh.
for whatever reason, you know, the economy's down,
Uh-huh.
like it does,
Just a little.
just a little. You know, if the economy is down and it's hard to find a job and you're not able to find a job, as a marginalized person, it is way harder for you to find a job, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a disabled person, as a trans person, as a person of color, any number of ways you can be marginalized, you have extra hoops that you can go through. And yeah, but
Sorry. Sorry, I swallowed wrong.
oh no, do you need some water?
Nope, I'm fine. I just needed to cough, but I was trying to wait for a second.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This tiger has eaten the microphone. That's why you swallowed wrong, right?
Mm-hmm. So we'll cut that part out because that's going to kill everybody. Anywho, continue.
Yeah, we'll cut that part out. Who knows? Maybe we'll put it in the behind the scenes.
Just mute it so we don't blast out everybody's eardrums.
Oh, you can put a limiter on it
Mm-hmm.
so it doesn't go above a certain audio level, and that's fine. Anyway, let's say you're trying to find a job. It is way harder for you to find a job in a poor economy, and you're marginalized, right? The cards are just stacked against you, and you may be unemployed for a good long time.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas someone with privileges, yeah, it sucks for them too in a depressed economy as well,
Mhm.
but they're more likely to find those silver linings and positives eventually if they keep trying. And so their perception is they're more likely to push the narrative, oh, just keep going. Oh, you can't give up.
Yeah, if you give up, then,
Yeah,
then you won't reach the thing.
exactly.
But, that does make it so it kind of frames it
Right.
from more of a privileged side.
And oftentimes that's the narrative that wins.
Mhm.
If you're in like social groups, social settings where you feel like you have to find the silver linings and everything when you bring up something not so good, right? The compliment sandwich, you have to wrap a negative with two positives kind of a thing.
Mhm.
Then I feel like, okay, maybe either there's something I need to examine, that like, why do I feel like I need to do this in this group, or I need to examine the group. It's like, how did we get to this point?
Mhm.
That sort of a thing.
What kind of comes into that as well of like pushing specific narratives
Hmm.
is using labels
Hmm.
for their not intended purpose.
Right.
So, like, where we're talking about, like, capitalism kind of co opted the term self care in general to make it more of a like, buy things to make you feel better.
Right. Right.
There's a lot of like, oh, well, everybody has like intrusive thoughts or a
Ah.
touch of OCD or ADHD or other mental disabilities and things. And so it's used to kind of like,
Oh, like,
oh, well, I'm struggling too. So it's not that bad.
right. I
That's,
see a lot of posts on social media where like people have grabbed like a cup of coffee or a donut or something,
mhm.
and it's like, oh, I gave in to the intrusive thoughts, and it's like that's not what that
It-
means.
yeah, that is so far from what it actually means.
Like treating yourself like that's not an intrusive thought. That's
No, that's an impulsive thought.
right. That's not a.
Different. They sound similar, but
Hmm.
very different. And so it's used like minimizes it a lot.
Right. If it's overused, it does get minimized, and if it's used out of the proper context,
Hmm.
it dilutes the meaning.
Yeah, and like where you'll run into like the not accommodating yourself or oh well, I struggle with that too. So like why do you need accommodations for the same thing?
It also,
But it's not the same.
I feel like it also becomes a conversation stopper, right? Because if you come
Mm-hmm.
up to me and go, "Hey, sorry, I'm being autistic in this moment," or something like that, right? If I came to you and said, "Oh, well, everyone's a little bit autistic," right?
Yeah.
That then just shuts down the whole conversation.
Mm-hmm. And you can't explain.
We don't talk to each other like that,
Oh
by the
god,
way,
no.
but I've been talked to like that. And
Yeah.
one, it just, I don't know, it infantilizes as
Mm,
well, right?
yeah.
Because the insinuation is that you're acting childish.
Yeah.
And two, it shuts down the conversation
Mm-hmm.
and you can't make progress after that.
Then it's like, okay, there's this whole section of life that we can't talk about now.
Right. And if you find yourself having to censor yourself
Yeah.
for a group, it essentially, when you start wanting to have lines of conversation like this
Or you
and you
can't have
can't,
nuance.
yeah, it others you
Yeah.
and it isolates you.
We've run into where it goes with social settings and groups, how it's been co-opted
Right.
and like some of the pitfalls and what we run into. In order to kind of like get back to the roots of it, what does radical self-care look like in our lives then? Like how have we incorporated it for us?
Well, I think a big thing is having some self awareness
Oh, uh-huh.
and knowing our limits, like we talked about in our previous podcast episode,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
where we go over like the physical side of disabilities and not pushing ourselves past our limits so we don't experience as much burnout.
Hmm.
And
It can
we
still
pace
happen.
ourselves. Yeah. And for the mental side, we pace ourselves and we check in on each other and we have conversations.
And if you want to know a little bit more about our limits and stuff, that's in our, like you mentioned in our previous one.
Right.
But something that we've also found is really good, and for one, kind of knowing where our limits are, but also then help us,
Hmm.
reset or not reach them is rest.
Right.
You know, like this one is,
Oh,
is showing for us.
like this little black kitty.
Yeah. And I really like there is a quote that Trisha Hershey wrote and rests like very succinctly, especially in the terms of like self care.
Hmm.
So it's not about fluffy pillows or expensive sheets, silk sleep masks, or any other external frivolous consumerist gimmick. It is about a deep unraveling from white supremacy and capitalism. Rest pushes back and disrupts a system that views human bodies as a tool for production and labor.
I really like that.
Yeah, it's very
It
hits
does
all
put a
the
lot.
points.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, how often do you know how I feel?
Mhm,
Like when I'm working a lot and then I try and rest. I can't rest
mhm.
because I feel like I need to be this productive little machine.
We have to go, go, go all the time, forever.
Right, exactly.
Or like, oh, I've not done enough to earn my rest.
That too. Yes, that's another key point.
So it's like attacked from like all angles of why it's like, or you
Mhm.
got to get on that grind. Otherwise, you won't be able to, because then that's giving up and then you won't reach your thing or you won't find your job or,
Right.
so there's a lot of things that push you to just keep grinding away at it.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing is like to radically go against capitalism,
Mhm.
you need to do something other than be this cog in the wheel. Not that we can escape capitalism entirely at this point, though
Yeah.
we wish we could.
We can try changing the systems or going against it, which like rest is a really big one
Yes, you can do it.
of slowing down and being like, how about no?
Yes, you can bring some of that into your daily life.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the other ways that we do it is we express ourselves creatively.
Mm-hmm.
Like this. Oh, if for anyone who's listening, we're just gesturing to ourselves because I'm all painted up. Saoirse's in a fursuit as their rainbow tiger, and you have your rainbow crown
Yes.
on top that you've made yourself. You know, capitalism cheapens our labor, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a machine that cheapens our labor. People who want a rainbow crown like that want to get it for the cheapest price that they can and assume that it costs, what,
Pennies.
pennies per hour. But you spent hours on that, It makes it hard for people who handcraft things to make a living off of their handcrafted items and the economies of scale, like building factories that outproduce other people.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm getting too much into the deep end, but the whole reason why I bring this up is that we don't do it for money.
Yeah.
We do it because we like to do it. There's more of a reason to do things than just this makes a living for me. And that's why I feel expressing ourselves creatively, bringing some art into our lives, doing things that bring us joy just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah, because not our whole lives are not spent in front of, a camera or a microphone.
Right.
Like, I made this flower crown to go with my suit because it made me happy.
Hmm.
I liked it. I wanted to. It wasn't to be like, for any other purpose besides that's what I wanted.
Hmm.
And, there's other like crafts and stuff that we learn or we don't show or things like that to just, make us happy.
Yeah.
Is also a way like we kind of have brought that like into some of our communities, which is another area where we kind of like working to go against the stuff of making it less individualistic was in our communities, like our local one. We have a craft meetup for, us and other trans people every month.
Hmm.
And, it's a way for us to like hang out or create and just
Oh, yeah.
enjoy.
People will bring all sorts of
Yeah,
projects.
any project that you
Uh,
want to work on or just hang out.
they'll do crochet. Some people have even, worked on their resumes or
Or
um,
music.
or music. Yeah, that
Yeah, we've had
um,
people that were like mixing tracks and stuff.
yes.
Yeah.
Some people were editing videos, not just me. It's been amazing, and it's nice to have a group of people. We're not necessarily working on the same project, but we get to hang out and work in the same space.
Oh yeah, and see what like each other's like working on. Like, oh, what are your interests? What are you enjoying?
Hmm.
As a way to also like catch up, or
Yeah,
like even ask for help or get like people's opinions or thoughts on something without having to. It's not like a graded thing.
right. Yeah, it is a good way to just kind of pick each other's brains
Yeah.
about things. Yeah.
And we do it, for like our more like remote communities and friends. We still,
We try to make connections with them.
yeah, we still try to have like check ins or like set time to actually like hang out
Hmm.
and converse and talk. and do what we can that way over like any shared stuff or like little small streams or,
Yeah.
just the things that we can to still keep connection, even if it sometimes is like just sitting there for a little bit, just knowing somebody else is on the other line.
Yeah. I feel like connection is a big part of it,
Yeah.
is finding connections and doing it at a pace that we are able to sustain it, And speaking of that, we're more intentional with our time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the ways that we're more intentional with our time is we'll take breaks from social media. It probably hurts my social media, to be honest, but it benefits us because people tend to profit from our emotions,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately.
Yeah. So
That's
if
how
you're being bombarded all the time by like, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on, but hey, there's this magical thing that can help you feel better in these times of horror. Like, yeah, it's a lot easier for your brain to be like, oh, maybe if I do just do this thing over here, like it
Mhm.
suggests, maybe.
Our brain does kind of latch on to negative things,
Uh-huh.
and social
Because it's
media is
survival.
right, right. It's like we we want to pay attention to any danger, whether it's relevant to us or not.
Uh-huh.
And not that you shouldn't be informed or anything, but social media really latches onto that.
Uh-huh.
And just once your brain kind of latches onto it, social media latches onto it, and then suddenly you're doom scrolling, unfortunately. So we try to be more mindful of that and be very intentional with our social media time, instead of, I don't want to say mindlessly doing it, where we,
Yeah.
we try to limit our amount of time with it, and we try to,
Like look up certain stuff instead,
yes, like we're seeking the information, not
not being fed it passively.
right, not being passively doing it. We also try to diversify our resources. Like every once in a while, we try to introduce new people. Like right now, we are watching a lot of Cantonese content,
Yeah.
for example.
Finding a bit more like cooking, finding people that
Yes.
also have like experiences that are, a little bit different to
Hmm.
us, if at all possible. And same with just like even outside of like the social media of finding other resources for like news and information of not just having like one or two sources
Yeah.
of, like, okay, what are different people's takes on that, or what's a place that's very, a few places that are good that kind of will also kind of help
Hmm.
with the overload of like where it stays, where it's like, I still want to be informed, but I
Right.
can't take in, 50 million bad stories. So,
Right.
what are some really key things that happened today or like in the past week or something? And being a bit more
I,
like, okay, there's one area where we can maybe do some good or
yes.
help out. So let's try and look a little bit more into that and be more focused because, knowing our limits,
We only have
we only
so
have so
much
much
time and
time.
energy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
time, energy, effort, resources,
Exactly.
all of that. So by like diversifying and knowing things, it helps us not be overwhelmed
Hmm.
and, fall into a lot of those traps of
Yeah. Yeah.
just one click and it's all gone.
Oh, for example, myself growing up as in a half Chinese household, right?
Mhm,
Half my family spoke Cantonese, and growing up, whenever my family would switch to Cantonese,
mhm.
they would always sound louder and angrier, right? Just the affect of it. What I found funny was that when my grandparents went over back to China to visit, they had been living in America for a good long while. But their impression was, oh, everyone there sounds so angry when they speak. So it's like, oh,
There's
okay.
levels.
Yeah, yeah. So because they've been Americanized a little bit, right?
Uh-huh.
They were probably a bit more softer spoken, although they sound angry to me.
Mhm. They're just very loud.
They're just very loud. And
We associate loudness with anger.
right, right. But then, I happened across a video about Cantonese and the perception of Cantonese from outside, like even within China, Mandarin speakers view Cantonese as like, oh, that's a very loud and angry language. So it's not just within my family. So
Mm.
it's not just an isolated phenomenon, it's other people. So I thought that was very interesting. Yeah, there's certain things like that where if you are a bit more intentional, social media can be enriching rather than
Yeah, it can help bring in or highlight certain things.
right,
So we try to be careful with also like what we feed to the algorithm as well.
right,
Because, what you feed it, pay more attention to, it'll give it back to you, that sort of stuff.
right. And I try to tend for like news, right?
Mhm.
I try to rely on our friendships and connections to notify us of anything that might need our attention,
Yeah, it's like super immediate attention.
Right, right.
And we have a few like places where we'll go and actually like read or watch rather than just all of our news or information comes from algorithms.
Yep,
Because those can be very problematic.
yep, exactly.
That's just some of the ways that we've kind of, really tried to step back,
Mm-hmm.
give ourselves grace and rest, and look more at like the groups that we interact with and that we put energy into and that sort of stuff to try and help.
Yeah, but we don't have all the answers.
Yeah, we don't
Right.
have all the answers.
And we'd love to hear from you. So how do you practice self-care? What do you do to get started? I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments. And we look forward to our discussion there. So thank you all for liking and subscribing. It really helps us out. You can also become a member on Patreon and get access to more. And thanks for joining today. Hope to see you in the next one. Stay with us for some behind the scenes. Okay.
Hopefully that recorded. I don't know how long that was because I couldn't see the timer at all. So I was using you to be the pace horse.
I am the pace horse.
Pace wolf.
Pace wolf. That
For
doesn't
today. That doesn't sound good.
doesn't sound as good. What is the one? There is a dog,
The pace bunny.
Pace Bunny. No, I'm talking about like a sled team. Like
Oh.
huskies.
Yeah, the lead dog.
Yeah, the lead dog. There you go.
There you go.
Lead wolf.
Lead puppy.
I'm the alpha. No.
You have 2 cats. No, you don't.
I am outnumbered.
And just keep your feet covered. Nasty. Well, I'm used to having to like yell through this thing.
Oh, you don't have to yell through that thing because the microphone's like right up.
Yeah, it's right up in my mouth.
Okay.
I also don't need to shout in this thing. That's right.
No, you don't.
Drop it low to get to the floor. Give me.
I think.
Yeah.